Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Today I'm going to recap the college basketball games from last night. Same for the NBA and the NHL. Look ahead to tonight's games in each sport. We have some soccer to go over. Golf is back with the tournament, so we'll preview and pick that. And then we have news and notes and best bet. We'll start with college basketball. We have a ton of games to go over from last night, and we have a lot of games to pick today. Number 23, Charleston over NCAT, 92-79. Morgan State over Gucci, 89-52. Georgia upsets number 22, Auburn, 76-64. Villanova beats Georgetown, 73-57. Georgia Tech upsets number 12, Miami, 76-70. NC State upsets number 16, Duke, 86-60 or 84-60. Number 25, Iowa State beats Oklahoma, 63-60. Tulane beats Tulsa, 93-77. Temple beats South Florida, 68-64. UCF beats East Carolina, 64-61. Northern Iowa beats Valparaiso, 69-67. Norfolk State beats Penn State Wilkes-Barre, 85-60. Michigan beats Penn State, 79-69. Texas A&M beats Florida, 66-63. Richmond beats George Washington, 73-63. Duquesne beats VCU, 79-70. Dayton beats St. Joe's, 76-56. Davidson beats Loyola Chicago, 80-57. St. Bonaventure beats George Mason, 73-69. Rhode Island beats Fordham, 82-79. SC Upstate beats Radford, 65-60. Winthrop beats Presbyterian, 82-72. UNC Asheville beats High Point, 76-72. Longwood beats Charleston Southern, 79-74. Campbell beats Gardner-Webb, 63-58. Wofford beats Mercer, 53-52. Western Carolina beats East Tennessee State, 71-60. UNC Greensboro beats Chattanooga, 73-61. Furman beats the Citadel, 97-72. Or Furman over the Citadel. My bad. Wilmington beats Elon, 81-66. UMass beats St. Louis, 90-81. Stephen F. Austin beats New Mexico State, 69-60. Samford beats VMI, 87-78. Alabama A&M beats Mississippi Valley State, 75-68. Indiana State beats Illinois State, 76-67. Missouri State beats Evansville, 85-62. Southern Illinois beats Drake, 53-49. Belmont beats UIC, 77-71. Murray State beats Bradley, 67-58. Providence upsets number 4 UConn, 73-61. Alabama State beats Arkansas Pine Bluff, 80-66. A&M Corpus Christi beats Incarnate Word, 91-69. Lindenwood beats Little Rock, 67-62. Number 13 Arkansas beats number 20 Missouri, 74-68. Grambling beats Texas Southern, 85-72. Number 17 TCU beats number 19 Baylor, 88-87. And North Carolina beats Wake, 88-79. Clemson beats Virginia Tech, 68-65. Butler beats DePaul, 78-70. Northwestern beats Illinois, 73-60. Southern beats Prairie View, 66-62. And Nevada beats Colorado State, 80-69. All right, now we'll look ahead to the busy slate for today. 1 o'clock this afternoon, Fairleigh Dickinson against St. Fran Brooklyn. My projection is St. Fran Brooklyn by 3 3/4, total 140 and 9/10. And we have here the game's not posted. Oh, Fairleigh Dickinson. St. Fran Brooklyn's a 2.5 point favorite. Total is 143.5. I'll take the under. 6 o'clock, Maine and UMass Lowell. My line is Lowell by 15 1/4, total 138 and 17/20, and it's 12.5 and 139.5. I'm gonna lay the points with Lowell. 6:30, Big Ten Network, Maryland, Rutgers. Let's see how Rutgers does after the win over Maryland. My projection here is Rutgers by 6 total, 131 and 17/20, and it's 4.5 and 130.5. I'm going to do a slight lean to Rutgers. Coastal Carolina and App State. My line's App State by 2 total 140, and it is 4.5 and 136.5. I'm going to take the over. Queens Bellarmine. My line is Bellarmine by 3 total 139 and 19/20, and it's Queens by 1.5 total 140.5. I'm going to take Bellarmine getting the points in. It looks like the line's changing to Bellarmine as a favorite. So right now it's plus 1.5. So I'm going to take it at minus 110 straight up. Fox Sports 1, 7 o'clock. Number 1 Purdue. Number 24 Ohio State. My line's Purdue by a half. Total 141 and 7/20. And it is Ohio State by 1.5. Total 141.5. That just screams Vegas knows, guys, right? But I'm going to take Purdue anyway, +1.5 and +104. ESPN 2, SMU at number 2, Houston. My line is Houston by 23, total 132 and 19/20. It is 19.5 and 129.5. That's a tough one. But I'm going to go lay the points in Houston. Lehigh Bucknell, my line's Pick'em in 139 and 9/20. And it is, let's see here. 7.5 and 142.5. Woo! Give me Lehigh getting the points. That's way too many points for Bucknell to be given. Lafayette and Boston University. My line's BU by 17, total 131 and 19/20. And it is BU. The line's not up. Total is 126.5. So that's where the FanDuel doesn't have a line. So let's go by Caesars. So 6 and 126.5. I'm going to lay the 6 with Boston University. Army and Loyola, Maryland. My line is Army by 3, total 140 and 3/4. And we have here 1.5 and 138.5. Over. American and Holy Cross. My line is American by 6, total 132 and 1/20. And we got 6.5 and 127.5. Over. New Hampshire and Binghamton. My line is Binghamton by 2, total 136 1/4. And it's 1.5 and 131.5. Over. Bryant, Vermont on ESPNU. My line is Vermont by 1/2, total 146 3/4. And is Vermont a home underdog? No, they're favored. 3.5, total is 148.5. Give me Bryant getting the points. I like the hook. Albany, UMBC. My line's UMBC by 9.5, total 143 and 13/20. And it is 8.5 and 145.5. Slight under. Navy, Colgate. My line is Colgate by 5.5, total 147 and 7/10. And it is 8.5 and 142.5. Over. UAB, FAU. My line, this is the sneaky great game of the night. My line's FAU by 1/2, total 146 and 13/20. And it is 2.5 and 148.5. I'm going to take UAB getting the 2.5. Charlotte, FIU. My line is Charlotte by 4.5, total 139 and 3/10. And it's 5.5 and 134.5. Over. Wagner, Stonehill. My line's Wagner by 7.5, total 136 and 9/20. And it is Stonehill by 1.5, total 132.5. Is that a Vegas nose? Give me Wagner +1.5 and -106 outright. That line's about to move. Sacred Heart and Merrimack. My line's a Pick'em and 133. And it's Merrimack by 2.5, total 131.5. Give me Sacred Heart getting the 2 and a hook. LIU, Central Connecticut. Mine's Central by 6, total 142 and 9/10. And we have 9.5 and 142.5. So give me LIU getting the points. Texas State and James Madison. My line's Jamie by 10, total 142 and 1/10. And It's 11.5 and 138.5. Over. Old Dominion and Troy. My line's Troy 1.5, total 135.5, and it is 4.5 and 133.5. I'm going to take Old Dominion plus the points. Marshall, Georgia Southern. My line is Marshall by 4, total 139 and 4/5, and it's 6.5 and 140.5. Give me Georgia Southern getting the points. Omaha and Western Illinois. My line's Western by 7.5, total 145 and a 10th. And it's 4.5 and 146.5. I'm going to lay the points with Western. Tennessee State and SIU Edwardsville on ESPN News. My line's Edwardsville by 1, total 146 and 9/20, and it is 6.5 and 145.5. Give me Tennessee State getting the points. That is a lot of points for Edwardsville to be given. Southern Indiana and Moorhead State. Mine's Moorhead by 10, total 144.5. And we have 2.5 and 144.5. I'm going to lay the 2.5 at Moorhead State. That is a very short number. Robert Morris and Youngstown State. My line's Youngstown by 9, total 143 and a 5th. And it's 7.5 and 143.5. Slight Youngstown State. Green Bay, Purdue, Fort Wayne. My line is Purdue, Fort Wayne by 20 and a quarter, total 137 and a quarter. And 17.5 and 136.5. I'm going to lay the points. Milwaukee and Cleveland State. My line's Cleveland State by 3.5, total 138 and 9/10. And 6.5 and 136.5. So I'm going to take Milwaukee plus the points. CBS Sports Network, Drexel, Towson. My line's Towson 8.5, total 132 and a 20th. And it's 6.5 and 125.5. Over. Hofstra Hampton. And it's I have Hofstra 15, total 147 and 15/20, and it's Hofstra 10.5, total 150.5. I'm going to lay the points. Stony Brook Monmouth. My line is Stony Brook by 2 3/4, total 135 and 19/20. And it is 1.5 and 134.5. Slight over. Northeastern and William and Mary. My line is William and Mary by 1, total 135 and a 10th, and it is let's see. Northeastern by 1.5, total 132.5. I always tend to support Northeastern in games and where my lines lie. But I have a 2.5 point edge on William and Mary, and I have an over 2.5 point edge on the over, so I'm going to take the over. Kennesaw State, North Florida. My line is North Florida by a half, total 145 and 7/20. And it is 1.5 and 146.5. Slight under. Jacksonville State and Liberty. My line is Liberty 11, total 136 and 7/10. And it's 15.5 and 128.5. Over. Jacksonville Stetson. My line is Jacksonville 6, total 133 and 3/5. And it's 1.5 and 126.5. Over. 7:30, Seattle and Texas Rio Grande. My line is Seattle 6 1/4, total 155 and a 10th. And it's 6.5 and 156.5. Slight under. Grand Canyon, Sam Houston. My line is Grand Canyon by 2 3/4, total 128 and 9/20, and it's Sim Houston 3.5, total 127.5. I think the wrong team's favor. Give me Grand Canyon plus the 3.5 and plus 142 to win. Georgia State and Yale Monroe. My line is Georgia State by 7.5, total 132 and 17/20, and it's 4.5 and 130.5. We'll lay the points at Georgia State. 8 o'clock, Pac-12 Network, Wazoo, Arizona State. My line's Arizona State by 11.5, total 135 and 3/5, and it's 5.5 and 130.5. And we'll lay the points at Arizona State. Middle Tennessee and UTSA. My line is Middle Tennessee by 8, total 142 and 17/20. And it's 10.5 and 142.5. I'm going to take UTSA plus the points. La Tech Rice. My line is Rice by 6 3/4, total 151 1/4. 2.5 and 152.5. I'm going to lay the points. Lamar New Orleans. My line is New Orleans 7.5, total 148 and 11/20. And it's 6.5 and 148.5. Slight New Orleans. Utah Valley and Texas Arlington. My line for this one is Utah Valley by 10, total 134 and 1/5. And it's 6.5 and 133.5. I'm going to lay it with Utah Valley. Southern Utah Tarleton. My line is Southern Utah by 1.5, total 149 and 9/10. And we got 1.5 and 147.5. Over. Southern Miss Louisiana. My line is Louisiana by 10.5, total 144 and 19/20, and it is 1.5 and 145.5. I'm gonna lay the points with Louisiana. Talk about a Vegas nose line. Arkansas State and South Alabama. My line is South Alabama by 7.5, total 133 and 9/20. And it's 7.5 and 127.5 over. South Dakota State, North Dakota State. My line is South Dakota State by 3 1/4, total 142 and 7/10, and it is 2.5 and 141.5. Slight over. South Dakota, North Dakota. My line is South Dakota by 6.5, total 140 and 3/20, and it is 3.5 and 138.5. I'm going to lay the points of South Dakota. Denver, St. Thomas. My line is St. Thomas by 1/4, total 146 and 9/10. And we got 6.5 and 146.5. I'm going to take Denver getting the points. That's a lot. Montana State and Northern Colorado. My line is Montana State by 3.5, total 146 1/4. And it's 2.5 and 149.5 under. Montana and Northern Arizona. My line is Montana by 10.5, total 144 and 2/5. And it's 2.5 and 137.5. I'm laying the points with Montana. North Alabama, Lipscomb. My line is Lipscomb by 9, total 145 and 11/20. And it is 7.5 and 147.5. I'm going to take a slight under on that one. Florida Gulf Coast and Austin P. My line's Florida Gulf Coast by 10, total 137 and 17/20. And it is 5.5 and 136.5. I'm going to lay the points of Florida Gulf Coast. Eastern Kentucky and Central Arkansas. My line is Eastern Kentucky by 3, total 148 and 1/5. And it's 3.5 and 156.5. I'm going to take the under. 8:30, Houston Christian in Southeast Louisiana. My line Southeast Louisiana by 6, total 157 and 3/4. That's a pretty high projected total. And it's 9.5 and 161.5. So I'm going to take the under, actually. Northwestern State and McNeese. My line is Northwestern State by 1.25, total 139 and 11/20. And it's 3.5 and 138.5. I'm going to take McNeese getting the 3 and a hook. Eastern Illinois and Tennessee Tech. My line is Tech by 1, total 140 and 3/4. And it's 4.5 and 135.5. Over. 9 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, number 15, Indiana at Iowa. My line's Indiana by 4.5, total 148 and 19/20. I swear if Iowa's favored, I'm going to throw a fit, and they are. 1.5 and 152.5. Are you freaking kidding me? Iowa should not be freaking favored. Like, they have 6 freaking losses, and they lost to Eastern Illinois. They have no business being favored at home against Indiana, but Vegas knows more than we do. There's probably some injuries we don't know about, whatever. Give me Indiana, plus 1.5 and minus 102 to 1. ESPNU, Cincinnati, Wichita State. My line, Cincinnati by 6.5, total 137 and a fifth. And it's 2.5 and 134.5. I'm going to lay the points with Cincinnati. CBS Sports Network, North Texas, Western Kentucky. My line's North Texas by 1.75, total 127 and a fifth. And we got 3.5 and 121.5. I'm going to take the over. ESPN2, Oregon, Colorado. My line is Oregon by 4, total of 140 and 3/5. And it's 2.5 and 144.5. I'm going to take Oregon plus the 2.5 and plus 115 outright. Nichols and A&M Commerce. My line's Nichols by 4.25, total 146 and 3/4. And it's 3.5 and 149.5. Under. Southeast Missouri State and Tennessee Martin. My line's Tennessee Martin by 8, total 148 and 7/20. And it's 1.5 and 153.5. I'm going to lay the points with Tennessee Martin. UC Irvine, UC Davis. My line is UC Davis by 0.5, total 144 and 7/20. And it's Irvine 2.5, total 144.5. Give me Davis plus 2.5 and plus 116 outright. Sacramento State and Idaho. My line is Sac State by 5.25, total 139 and 19/20. And it's 1.5 and 132.5. Over. Portland State and Eastern Washington. My line is Eastern Washington by 8.75, total 146.25. And it's 6.5 and 152.5. Under. 9:30 ESPN. Dave Pasch, Bill Walton on the call. USC at number 10 UCLA. My line's UCLA by 7.75, total 139.5. And it's 11.5 and 140.5. Give me USC getting the points. That's too many points in a rivalry game. 10 o'clock, Oregon State, Utah. My line's Utah by 12.5, total 132 and 3/20. And it is 13.5 and 129.5. Over. Utah Tech, Cal Baptist. My line's Baptist by 8, total 137 and 7/10. And it is 6.5 and 136.5. Slight Cal Baptist. Santa Clara Pepperdine. My line is Santa Clara by 5.5, total 148.25. And it's 1.5 and 151.5. Laying the points of Santa Clara. Pacific San Diego. My line is San Diego by 8, total 151.25. And it's 6.5 and 151.5. Slight San Diego. Cal Poly and Bakersfield. My line is Bakersfield by 0.5, total 130 or 123.25, or 123 and a 20th. My bad. And it's 1.5 and 117.5. But the money lines are even. I'm taking the over anyway. Long Beach State and Cal State Northridge. My line is Long Beach State by 8.5, total 140 and a fifth. And it's 5.5 and 144.5. Under. Hawaii and UC San Diego. My line's Hawaii by 11, total 131 and 3/4, and it's 6.5 and 126.5. Over. Fullerton and UC Riverside. My line's Riverside by 7, total 138 and 9/10, and it is 5.5 and 130.5. Over. 11 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Washington at number 5, Arizona. My line's Arizona by 15, total 148 and 9/10. And it's 18.5 and 154.5. Under. Number 9, Gonzaga, San Francisco on ESPN2. My line is Gonzaga by 4 3/4, total 150.5, and it is 9.5 and 156.5. Under. And last but not least, on ESPNU, BYU, Loyola Marymount. My line's BYU by 9, total 143 and 17/20, and it's 1.5 and 143.5. I'm going to lay it in 1.5 with BYU. All right, NBA. We will recap the games from yesterday and look ahead to a small window for tonight. Grizzlies over the Hornets, 137-107, or 131-107. Cavs over the Suns, 90-88. Magic over the Thunder, 126-115. 76ers over the Pacers, 129-126 in overtime. Knicks over the Spurs, 117-114. Bucks over the Raptors, 104-101 in overtime. Bulls over the Nets, 121-112. Timberwolves over the Blazers, 113-106. Pelicans over the Rockets, 119-108. Pistons over the Warriors, 122-119. Lakers over the Heat, 112-109. Hawks over the Kings, 120-117. 4 games tonight, 7 o'clock. You have the Grizzlies and the Magic. My line is Grizzlies by 6 1/4, total 225 and 11/20. And we got 6 and 231 under. TNT 7:30, Celtics Mavs. My line is Celtics by 1, total 227 and 2/5, and it's 3 and 230.5. Under. 8 o'clock, Jazz Rockets. My line's Pick'em in 229 and 9/20, and it's 6.5 and 230.5. I'm going to take the Rockets getting the 6.5. 10 o'clock, TNT Clippers Nuggets. You can make a case the game of the night, but I think Luka against Boston's a better game right now. My line is Nuggets by 6 1/4, total 224 and 9/10, and it's 5 and 228 under. All right, now move on to the NHL. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to a busy day tonight. Devils over Red Wings 5-1, Lightning over the Wild 5-1, and the Ducks over the Stars 2-0. All right, tonight, 7 o'clock, we have the Preds at the Canes. These two teams played each other in a playoff series in 2021. I think it was the first round because they remade the divisions because it was the first season post the pandemic, or post-peak pandemic, I should say. Canes minus 245, Preds plus 198, over under 6 minus 10.85. Preds plus 1.5 is minus 134. Canes minus 1.5 is plus 110. I like the under. ESPN Capitals Blue Jackets. I don't think this game should be on ESPN. Personally, this game sucks. Washington's a 2-1 favorite. Columbus is plus 164, over under 6.5. Overs plus 104, and there's minus 128. Capitals minus 1.5 is plus 120. Columbus plus 1.5 is minus 148. I like the over at plus money in this game. Rangers Canadians. Rangers minus 225. Canadians plus 184, over under 8, or over under 6. Overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 116. Canadians plus 1.5 is minus 142. This is a risky pick, but I'm going to do the Ranger puck line minus 1.5 at plus 116. I just think the Canadians are terrible. Blues Devils. Devils minus 196. Blues plus 160. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Blues plus 1.5 is minus 160. Devils minus 1.5 is plus 130. That's a hard one, too. I don't like how New Jersey's been playing of late. I'm going to go with the over. Coyotes Flyers. Flyers minus 150. Coyotes plus 125. Over under 6. Overs minus 108. Unders minus 112. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 205. Flyers minus 1.5 is plus 164. I'm going to go with the Coyotes as a road dog. Plus 125. Kraken Maple Leafs. Leafs minus 215. Kraken plus 176. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 108. Unders minus 112. Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 140. Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 114. I think the Kraken can go in there and win, but I don't have the balls to pick it, so I'm going to go under 6.5. 9 o'clock, Islanders Oilers. Oilers minus 162. Islanders plus 134 over under 6. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Isles plus 1/2 is minus 194. Oilers minus 1/2 is plus 156. I'm going to go with the Islanders. Plus 134 is a road dog. The only reason why Edmonton has a minus by their name is or two reasons. Home and Connor McDavid. 10 o'clock, Avs Canucks. Avs minus 166. Vancouver plus 136. Over under 6.5. Overs plus, or even money. Unders minus 122. Avs minus 1/2 is plus 152. Canucks plus 1/2 is minus 188. I'm going to go with the over at even money. Penguins Golden Knights. Vegas minus 128. Penguins plus 106. Over under 6. Overs minus 112. Unders minus 108. Pens plus 1/2 is minus 250. Vegas minus 1/2 is plus 198. I think that's an under game, weirdly enough. And 10:30, Bruins Kings. Bruins minus 154. Kings plus 128. Over under 6. Minus 10 each way. Bruins minus 1/2 is plus 164. Kings plus 1/2 is minus 205. I'm going to go in this game with the under. All right. Now move on to soccer. We'll go over notable results from yesterday, and we'll look ahead to anything important going on today. All right, Copa del Rey, round of 32. Sevilla over Linares 5-0. Mallorca over Pontevedra 2-0. Real Sociedad over UD Logroñez 1-0. Atletico over Real Oviedo 2-0. Alaves over Valladolid 1-0. And Barcelona over Intercity 3-4 in extra time. 3 games today, 10 o'clock. CD, Ibiza, and Betis. Just pulling up the odds, guys. Betis is 7-1 favorites. Ibiza's 13-1 dog. Draws 550. We're going to go over 3.5 goals plus 134. Gymnastic and Osasuna. Osasuna's minus 230. Gymnastic 5-1 draw 330. We're going to go under 2.5 at minus 108. And 3 o'clock you have Eldense and Athletic Bilbao. Athletic Bilbao is minus 380. Eldense is 850 and the draw is 450. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 102. And the English Premier League results from yesterday. Nottingham Forest over Southampton 1-0. Leeds and West Ham 2-2 draw. Aston Villa and Wolves 1-1 draw. And Tottenham over Crystal Palace 4-0. One game today, 3 o'clock. It's Chelsea and Man City. And then they have a week off. Amazingly enough. Man City's a minus 140 favorite. Chelsea's plus 370. Draw plus 290. This is a big game, obviously. 2 premier soccer teams. I'm going to say Man City wins. But the play here is going to be under 2.5 goals at plus 104. I could see this being a 2-0 or 1-0 game. Maybe a 1-1 draw, which would be fun. The draw's plus 290, but I don't want to go there. So we'll go under 2.5 at plus 104. All right, now I'll move on to golf. We have a tournament that is starting today, which is the Tournament of Champions from Kapalua Plantation Course in Maui. Loaded crop. So 230 you have Adam Svensson. 235 you have Seamus Power and Mackenzie Hughes. 245 you have Ches Ravine and Scott Stallings. 255 you have Colin Morikawa and Tony Finau. 305 you have Hideki Matsuyama and Patrick Cantlay. 315 Sam Burns and Cam Young. 325 C. Thiglia and Adam Scott. 335 Taylor Hogue and Ryan Brem. 350 JJ Spawn, Trey Mullinax. 4 o'clock Chad Ramey and Kanggu Lee. 410 Ryan Henley and Aaron Weiss. 420 JT Potson and Corey Connors. 430 Luke List and Brian Harmon. 440 Seb Straka and Brett Horschel. 455 Victor Hovland and Keegan Bradley. 505 Max Homa and Sanjay M. 515 Walter Zalatoris and Scotty Scheffler. 525 Jordan Spieth and Tom Kim. 535 John Rahm and Matt Fitzpatrick. 545 Xander Schauffele and Justin Thomas. Loaded crop for sure. The best golfers in the world in this tournament. I'm between two guys, and this is a player that I'm a big fan of. I think he has a lot of wins in his future. He's 18-1, and I'm going to lay a fifth of a unit on it. And that is Colin Morikawa at 18-1. Like that pick a lot. All right, now we'll go over the news and notes for today. Andrew Marchand broke a story about 10 minutes ago. That Michael Kay is considering retiring from his ESPN radio show. He is getting up there in age. He's been doing this for 20 years. We obviously know him also as the voice of the Yankees, which is what he's mainly known to be. And he also is obviously the biggest part of the Michael Kay show. Kay and ESPN declined comment. And at the end of September, Michael's multi-million-dollar contract with ESPN New York runs out. And while there have been talks about an extension, Kay has told ESPN officials his expectation is to step away, and many of them believe he is not bluffing, and nonetheless, ESPN continues to pursue an extension, and there's a chance that it could make it so worth his while remains on the program that bears his name with partners Don LaGreca and Peter Rosenberg. He's going to be 62 next month. He hopes to continue K-Rod, and he has no plans to give up the Yankee gig yet. And Mike will be hard to replace if he leaves his show. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened to Michael. The reason why I started news and notes with this was because it just came down, and this is an interesting story. With being a listener of the show and knowing those guys, so I wanted to start with that and see we'll see if Michael has any comment about that on his show or not. That obviously came from Andrew Marchand, who I don't know if Michael is very fond of, to be honest. Even though they know each other, because Andrew used to cover the Yankees, and I thought he was very critical of them when he covered them. So, we'll see. Speaking of baseball, the Cubs signed Eric Hosmer to a deal after getting released by the Red Sox, so there's a veteran for the Cubs to have, and if he plays well enough and they're bad, maybe they trade him. So, football news, Kyler's ACL surgery successful, and Cliff Kingsbury says that Kyler probably won't return by week 1 next season after surgery. Not great. Teddy Bridgewater dislocated his pinky finger, but it was revealed that he avoided a broken pinky finger on his throwing hand. Week 18 status still TBD. It looks like it's going to be Skylar Thompson or veteran Mike Lennon, who they just picked up, who was awful as the Giants' backup quarterback last season. Literally tanked them into getting Kayvon Thibodeau. Bobby Petrino is joining Texas A&M as Jimbo Fisher's offensive coordinator. And the funny thing is that he initially was going to be UNLV's OC, but Petrino jumped ship and went to Texas A&M. And that's the second time something like this has happened to UNLV in the last decade. I remember they hired TJ Oltenberger as their coach, and then he ended up going to Iowa State instead. He was only their coach for a day? Mattress Mac has a $1.5 million bet on TCU and is set to win $5.5 million if TCU upsets Georgia in the Natty. The big baseball news yesterday, though, is that the Red Sox extend Rafael Devers 11 years, $331 million. This is something that had to get done. Devers is one of the best players in the game. He is usually a perennial MVP candidate every year. And after what the Red Sox did to Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts, they had to do this. So, give credit where credit's due. Damar Hamlin is showing signs of improvement, but remains in critical condition. And the improvements were noted 2 days ago and overnight. So we're still praying for Damar Hamlin, and we're hoping for the best there. 2023 NFL Hall of Fame finalists. The headliners: Darrelle Revis, Joe Thomas, Dwight Freeney. Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. Among the players, also Jared Allen, defensive end, DeMarcus Ware, Albert Lewis, Rondé Barber, Devin Hester, Zach Thomas, Patrick Willis, and Darren Woodson. Those are very good players, and we'll see who gets in. Jake Paul signs with a UFC rival as he agrees to a multi-year fight contract with PFL and has an equity share of the company. Ooh. That's a big deal. So obviously, the Raptors last night came back to force overtime against the Bucks. They're down 21 points with 3:10 to go. And Joel Embiid had an interesting take. He goes, "The Bucks-Raptors game is just stupid and doesn't make sense, LMAO." And this was coming from somebody that didn't play last night. I know they won, Philly, but just funny that Embiid's just chilling and tweeting. And obviously he missed the game due to foot soreness. Didn't matter. Philly won. Or at least didn't matter last night. But they need him back if they want to get back in that top tier in the East with Philly, Brooklyn, and Milwaukee from a record standpoint. LeBron James missed last night's game due to a non-COVID illness. Duncan Robinson out 4 weeks after having finger surgery on injury suffered in November. I really feel like that they can survive without Duncan Robinson. He's not super important to them. Jake DeBrusk got injured against the Penguins in a Winter Classic and did not travel with the Bruins for the 3-game road trip. So that's a big loss for them offensively. USMNT names a temporary coach, who is the assistant, Anthony Hudson, to lead team for friendlies against Serbia and Colombia. And then Claudio Reyna reported the Berhalter information as him and his wife Danielle gave U.S. Soccer info on Berhalter kicking now wife Rosalind near 91. And this is a story that's going to keep going. Obviously, is Berhalter suspended? So it looks like he's suspended. So, let's see if he ends up fired from this. But it looks like he is suspended. Okay. Last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. One jumped out at me right away. It was in college basketball. And it was Arizona State minus the points against Wazoo. I just think that Bobby freaking Hurley and his team are going to win and cover. I'm going to lay a whole unit on it. That's how good I feel about this. It's down to 4.5. That's even better. So I'm going to lay 4.5 with Arizona State at minus 105 at home against Wazoo for my best bet of the day. All right, that's it for today's show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping all the games and looking ahead to a super busy weekend ahead. And obviously we have news and notes and best bet for you as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.